Hey, all you rude boys and bad men. Jim Mick here with a hot tip for you. Actually, it's not really a hot tip, it's more of an announcement. We got a Discord server. Yeah, we're doing that shit. We doing that shit. You can go on there, you can talk about video games and anime and furry porn and all that good shit, and we're on there. And bullshit myself, we're on there, and you could probably talk to us and shit. Check the description if you're on YouTube. Likewise, check in the text post on the Tumblr. We got a permanent invite link down there and that shit. Come and join us and talk to other people who. Alright, so how about that Ducktales, dude?
How about that Ducktales? I didn't even know that they were going to be making a new Ducktales cartoon until you sent the first episode to me.
Well, I knew about it. I just didn't know when it was going to come out. But I had seen the preview for it, and it definitely looked interesting. But I was a bit skeptical because well, not Cruella DeVille because she's not in the show yet. I don't know if they're gonna replace her, put her in yet. But they had a new voice for Scrooge and
Scrooge McDuck, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, Huey, Dewey, and Louie also had new voices as well. But especially with Scrooge McDuck because he has such an iconic voice, from the original series, I was skeptical, but it works perfectly, and I really all the characters in the first episode. Which the first episode was basically 2 episodes, but they just made it one big video file. I didn't hate or get annoyed by a single one. Huey, Dewey, and Louie were all fine. I forgot her name. The girl, I forgot her name. She wasn't annoying. Mrs. Binkley was great. Everybody was great, and I really like how, because if you watch the old episode was definitely geared towards kids. It was a very kid-focused episode or show, and this new one, and now I'm only going by the first episode, which is actually like the first 2 episodes, this is also geared towards kids, but it treats kids as intelligent, which unfortunately, cartoons from the 80s and 90s didn't. And DuckTales definitely fell into that. I felt like it was really dumbing down for kids. But that was just the way shows were back then. But especially these days, with the exception of like things like Teen Titans Go, which is just, and SpongeBob, which is just, yeah, those are things. It seems like cartoons these days treat kids as intelligent beings, which is good, but that's great because it also means that cartoons are now more appealing to adults, and I feel like DuckTales is appealing to kids, but also is appealing to people who grew up watching the original DuckTales, because it knows that all those people are grown-ups, and while they were fans of the old show, they are still grown-ups, and they will appreciate certain grown-up aspects, which DuckTales definitely captured, I think.
Yeah, and a lot of reboots recently have been doing that, and many of them very well. What I was actually most interested in and a little skeptical of was actually David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck. I was I was a little skeptical of that at first, but he plays the part very well, and I actually think he's great. He's great for that role.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and they definitely like redesign. Scrooge McDuck is still Scrooge McDuck, and like Donald Duck is still Donald Duck. One thing I will agree with a lot of people is that they really need to give Donald Duck captions because it is really hard to understand him. But like I really like how they made Huey, Dewey, and Louie way more unique because in the old show, not only did they look the same, they were pretty much interchangeable. One could be the other, and you couldn't tell the difference. And this one is definitely shown that one's evil, one's smart, and one's happy-go-lucky, but also kind of dumb. Which I do appreciate. The biggest change I really liked was Mrs. Beakley. Because if you remember in the old show, she was sort of this frazzled, haggard, overworked kind of maid character. And in this one, she's still like the housekeeper and the maid, but she's got like a really good head on her. And she's very no bullshit, very in charge kind of character. And I wasn't expecting that, but I do appreciate it because she's like a very strong character now. Whereas
let's talk about let me just mention here the upper level staff for this reboot. Executive producers Rob Renzetti, the creator of My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Wow.
Yeah, My Life as a Teenage, the one with the girl, right? Yeah.
Yes,
yes. The one with
Are you sure it was
Yeah, it was the one with the blue. Gosh, it's been a long time since she was a blue robot.
Yeah, my life is a teenage robot. That's her. That's the blue girl.
Yeah. Other executive producer Matt Youngbird of the team who created Ben 10 Omniverse. Story editor and co-producer Francisco Agonis, one of the creators or one of the people behind Wander Over Yonder, and art director Sean Jimenez, who originally worked on Gravity Falls.
So they really got a good crew. They got a crew from well-established TV shows, well-beloved TV shows.
Yeah, and let's also not forget that Rob Renzetti, a creator of My Life as a Teenage Robot, also worked as a director for Gravity Falls as well.
Nice. So we definitely have a very, very good cast of a very good crew working on this show, which I do appreciate. Yeah, I kind of just want to focus on the show itself, but really, it's best if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's on Disney XD's YouTube channel. If you're outside of the United States, just search for it because I'm pretty sure there's plenty of people who've re-uploaded it to YouTube or other cartoon sites because it is blocked if you're outside of the United States. But it should be easy enough for you to either use a proxy server or just find somebody else who's re-uploaded it. Yeah, it's really fucking good, and I want more people to watch it because this is how you do a reboot. This is how you do a reboot and make sure it's not good or make sure it is good and it's not like pandering or any of that crap. God, I'm trying to think of one character in specific I really like. Which one's the green one? Which Huey, Dewey, and Louie? Which one? Okay, I have to go and look. God damn it! Not even the Wikipedia page helps. It has them all grouped together. Okay, Louie's the green one. Louie's the green one, and he's also the evil one. He's not evil. I don't think he's evil. He's just the most cynical one. Because he's like, because what was it at the beginning? Because when they're going to go meet with Scrooge McDuck, he's like, "Oh, you're finally gonna sell us." I appreciate that. But yeah, I I guess that was our meta shit. New Ducktales, go watch it.
We've been watching the new Ducktales. You got to see it.
Yeah, go see that shit. We forgot something.
Oh shit! So we did.
All right, you want to kick us off?
Yes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the fucking amazing podcast, or for short, FAPCast. I am Bullshit, one half of the, the trash pile that is our collective hosting abilities.
And I'm Deathmech, and I'm only gonna say I'm the other half because I've been losing weight, so I'm not gonna play that. Plus, it's terrible to play a joke again. I found a laptop in a dumpster this week, but yeah, that's a story for another day. So, actually, that's our episode title.
You wanna do the honors of typing that in for us?
Yeah, I found a laptop in a dumpster. It doesn't power on, and I'm kind of glad it doesn't, because if somebody throws a laptop in a dumpster, that can mean two things: either one, or it's broken, or two, it's full of child porn. And I'm hoping it's just broken. So
Crack it open. Use it for parts, though.
you could, yeah, it would. I mean, laptops are cheap. I mean, hard drives are cheap enough. I could just rip the hard drive out and just hammer a screwdriver through it, and that would just take care of it. No, I know how to destroy hard drives, and it's because security issues. That's just a good. It's just a good idea in general. If you're throwing away hard drives, just fucking destroy them. It's even regardless of what you're doing with them, just destroy your hard drives. If you're gonna throw them out, because you'll be glad. You'll be glad, especially when so that way you don't randomly get charged $700 worth of phone cards, prepaid phone cards. So.
Or you don't wake up in the middle of the night unable to sleep because you suddenly remember that you forgot to delete that one file, and what if somebody at the dumpster finds it?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, that one file. So, all right. Enough rambling. Enough of this rambling shit. We got a main topic, and this time you brought the topic. Because last week I brought the topic. This week you brought the topic.
Yes, this topic is very creatively titled, might I add.
Yes.
I spent at least 30 seconds coming up with this title. The title for this topic is Why Garbage is Good, or How I Learned to Love Terrible, Horrible Atrocities of Art. And what I want to talk about today is garbage entertainment. Because one of the things that you and I both have noticed, Deathmech, and I think we might have mentioned it once or twice on our podcast, is people on YouTube or other sites, not necessarily video sharing websites, but also blogs and things, written blogs, are trending towards becoming so insufferably serious about
Everything.
things like anime.
Yes.
Yeah, everything in entertainment, but like anime and video games in particular have hit us very hard, because those are things that we, partake in on a regular basis. And like, I think you spoke once saying that you were getting fed up with anime critics on YouTube because they had become tiresome, because they were incapable of having fun.
Yeah. I used to watch quite a few anime critics. Two I'll just throw out there: Digibro and Mother's Basement, and I don't watch them anymore because they seem to. It felt to me that they intentionally tried to not have fun. When watching anime. And that's something I've noticed with a lot of things, anime, video games. And recently, we're recording this on the 16th of August. There's been a lot of backlash towards CinemaSins. And while CinemaSins often takes a very, they're really kind of sarcastic, but there's been a really big recent backlash because they're comedy styles that they overly nitpick things. But they begin a lot of backlash because they've been taking like critically acclaimed and genuinely good movies and just really nitpicking the fuck out of them, and it's starting to blow back at them because people are like, you're trying too hard. You're trying way too hard to find something wrong with this, and the things you're finding wrong are not big deals, and people, you could say, oh, people are not getting the joke. Well, it's like, I think people are just getting sick of the joke, and they're kind of seeing this as kind of they're just seeing this as just kind of unnecessary and hostile. If anything, it's showing that, you could say it's showing that, CinemaSins is kind of getting tired. People are kind of just getting, the CinemaSins was funny when they were doing shitty movies, but now it's just people are just getting sick of it. And yeah, you're trying to. I think you're gonna start seeing that a lot more. Not only with anime and movies, but also like books and video games as well. Just sort of like people are being like, yeah, I just want to have fun. Back off, chill out.
The same goes for music as well. And one of the things that I've noticed, actually, this is something a friend told me, and I think that it's something that I see quite often. Is he told me, one of my friends, he has a cousin who went to an art school, specifically to do study in film critique. And what that entailed was that he had to learn everything about making films and learn everything about accepted conventions for making films, how cuts are done, what kind of, camera angles are acceptable, and so on and so forth. And it has ruined his ability to enjoy films. Because now whenever he watches a film, all he can see are, oh, that camera angle is wrong, or, oh, this story is written too quickly in this one part, but too slowly in this other part. And basically, not only can he no longer watch movies and have fun, people won't watch movies with him because it's insufferable. And so he is basically effectively, because he went and he studied and became very serious about film critique, he basically has removed film from his life. Because nothing is good enough anymore. And everything is terrible. And because nobody else around him sees what he sees as terrible in a film, because either they're not educated the same way he is, or because they don't care, he can't watch movies with other people, which is kind of sad, because isn't that one of the reasons you watch movies, is to watch a movie with someone or share a movie with someone,
Yeah,
and,
well... that latter part, I'm gonna fully place the blame on him, because I kind of feel that's the same way when somebody's watched a movie and then they love it so much they go back and watch it with their friends and they don't shut up about like, oh, hang on, this next thing's gonna be great. And it's like, dude, fuck off, shut up.
Yeah, shut up. I'm trying to watch this movie.
Yeah. That I place that latter thing totally on him. But if he, and that's why with that, okay, keep going, because there's something I want to say about that. But keep your thought going.
The thing is, I've seen this kind of thing happen, particularly with anime reviews. Goodness knows, I watch a lot of terrible anime, and I have a grand old time doing so. I mean, anytime I have discovered a new trash tier anime that I'm obsessed with, everybody who follows me on Tumblr knows, because I queue enough pictures and posts of that show to fill approximately 30 days of my blog. And so it's like when I started watching Sonic Boom, remember?
Yeah, I think I was the reason you started watching Sonic Boom.
Yes, you were the reason I started watching Sonic Boom. But if you remember, when I started watching Sonic Boom, the first thing that happened to my Tumblr blog was it became about 5 solid days of queued
sticks.
posts of sticks.
Yeah, sticks.
And that's what happens when I find something new to watch. Everyone knows about it because I won't stop showing people pictures of it or whatever. And I've noticed, a lot of the things that I watch, no, not Sonic Boom. Sonic Boom has been very well received by a lot of people, but I'm talking about, trash tier animes that I watch, like, for example, the Pretty Cure series. Everybody knows I love the Pretty Cure series because I post nothing but it sometimes on Tumblr, and because a lot of my aesthetic stuff on Tumblr is related to Pretty Cure. That series, let me start off right now. That series is terrible. It is a terrible series. It has no artistic value whatsoever. It is a cynically driven commercial for toys in a bad way, not in the good way like My Little Pony was, but in a bad way. In a bad way like Beyblades, kind of a bad way. And most people who know me know that I love that series to death. And I know that it's terrible. And I know that show is garbage, and I know that it has no redeeming qualities whatsoever, and that the stories are simplistically written, and that, the only redeeming quality that you can possibly construe is that some of the animation is very good, but even that's debatable when you put it up against something else. But I still love that show. Why? Because it's garbage.
Yeah.
I love that show to death because it is a predictable mess of terrible writing that I can have fun with and not care and switch my brain off and just watch a bunch of, girls dressed in bright colors beat the crap out of monsters while aggressive metal plays in the background. And that's just something. I'm sorry, my boss is talking. Give me a second, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So, okay, what In Bullshit's talking about, I can give a few examples as well. Gates. Gate, the not the one Gate, the other Gate. There's 2 Gate animes. I'm talking about the other one. That, and it's the, people go off on like, it's like, oh, Gate's just Japanese nationalistic, nationalistic right-wing propaganda. It's basically just like, it's just like nationalist, imperialist Japanese porn, and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I like Gate because it has like modern tanks blowing up dragons, and there's big titty monster girls with Japanese soldier guys, and I think it's just swell. I live here in America, so none of this Jap nationalist crap gets to me. So, we both consume a lot of fucking garbage. Are you back yet? You're still talking to your boss, aren't you? I kind of feel bad for him. Bullshit. He puts up with so much shit. At home and at work, and God. Between you and me, I think In Bullshit really needs to get out of California. I think California is a very destructive place for anyone. Okay, like for example, I'm recording this on the 16th. I was in Southern California last week from about Tuesday to Friday, or no, Saturday. Shit, I was there for a while. And let me just tell you, California just fucking kills you. And I'm telling you, please, we just need to get In Bullshit the fuck out of California, because that place is fucking garbage. You want to talk about garbage? California is garbage.
California is in fact garbage. I am back. I'm sorry, that was a work emergency.
Okay. But as much as California is garbage, let me just say, Texas is like if California and the American South had sex, and that's like the cringy, almost abortion baby. That's what Texas is. Anyway,
sorry, I was I was talking about anime, and I just walked back to Texas being the abortion baby of America.
Yes.
So I'm gonna need a little filler in here as to what we're talking about.
Okay, well, I initially started talking about gates. The other gate, the one gate that everybody loves to hate.
The anime.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was talking about how a lot of people just see it as just like mindless, imperialist, nationalistic Japanese crap. We're all like we're all the foreign entities or enemies of of Japan, even the United States, and Japan is conquering this land in another dimension. And while
Yeah.
everybody's talking about that, I'm just like, haha, that tank blew up a dragon. And there's big titty monster girls. This is just fucking swell.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. There has been trash that I haven't liked. Monster Musume, for example, I wasn't really into that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because I thought the show was terrible. It is, but I don't care that it's terrible. It was more that it pandered to a specific type of fan that I am not.
Yeah. Well, and okay, with Monster Musume, if you really reach, it can be considered a good representative anime. And you really kind of have to reach, and I'm really not sure if even the creator of the show sees this, but this was a hypothesis brought up by the best guy ever. Great YouTube channel. Go subscribe to him. He's fucking awesome. But he hypothesized that Monster Musume is a great anime to represent disabled people and how it is to live with disabled people. And the moment I said that, you automatically figured out why. Why he would make that claim.
I have a counterpoint to that, and it's not a knock against Monster Musume. That show has its place, and I am okay with its existence. I just didn't like it very much.
Yes.
My counterpoint to that is the show Interviews with Monster Girls, which, if you have not seen yet, you do need to see, because in that show, being a monster girl is actually classified as a condition. While it's not
like a DSM-5 kind of condition,
while it's not considered a disability, in the canon of the show, the Japanese government treats monster girls and guys under a similar set of government policies that are very much like disability policies, but it's not considered disability.
Are you talking more like now? Okay, I started the thought. I should probably finish it. This may sound racist, but just hear me out. Is it less like a disability and more like they're a minority group?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah,
that's exactly correct. It basically, like, they have Interviews with Monster Girls is a phenomenal show and has nothing to do with our topic, but if you have not seen it, you have to watch it. It is very good. It is everything that you probably liked about Monster Musume, except less etchy.
A classier show.
Yes, it's a classier show, if you will. You can use that term, and I'd agree.
Yeah.
But instead of it being about, this one guy surrounded by all these busty monster girls, it was a teacher, a very responsible adult teacher who worked at a school that, as part of a Japanese government program, got additional funding if they allowed monster girls into their school and properly had systems in place to help integrate them with the student body. And the story is actually about this teacher who is fascinated by monster girls from an intellectual and academic perspective, and starts off trying to interview them so he can write his final doctoral thesis about them. And in the process of interviewing them, becomes rather attached to them and their problems. And they all have a variety of problems. For example, there's the the vampire girl, who has blood cravings, and she only gets so much blood from the government, on regular with regularity,
But
and then he
it's
finds
never. But like with any government program, it's never enough.
it's never enough. And it's not that, and monster girls, vampires aren't a danger. You don't become a vampire by being converted when you're bitten. It's just that it's not a very good idea to have a girl who sucks blood from people running around without, a supply of blood, because it's just not culturally appropriate for a girl to randomly bite someone, on the street. And it's also not very sanitary. You have the girl who's a Dullahan, and probably the most interesting bit in the show, I think, was there's this bit where he has this girl whose name is who is a Dullahan, with the headless people.
Yes.
And the school does not allow its students to use backpacks. They have to wear book bags, which are bags you sling over your shoulder, like a purse or just a book bag.
Yeah.
Laptop case.
Yeah. Backpack, basically.
But
Or
they don't allow them
messenger
to. Yeah, they don't allow them to wear backpacks.
Okay, yeah. So like
and-
they can wear messenger bags, but not.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
and so she has a hard time during winter at this school because she has to hold her head in one hand and her bag over one shoulder, but needs to hold an umbrella, and it's very difficult to do that because she can't move the arm that's holding her head. So if the book bag slips down, she loses her balance, and it's very uncomfortable. And what she ends up doing actually is just not using an umbrella for a while, because it's inconvenient, and she needs that hand to hold the book bag while it's over her shoulder. And so the teacher actually goes out of his way to go to the principal and say, "Hey, look, this policy that we have as a school makes sense. They had a bunch of reasons for it." And he's like, "It's fine if you don't want to allow backpacks, but you need to make an exception for this girl because, not letting her use a backpack is actively enabling her to have a disability. And it's not good." And so they go through this whole process to change the school policy, and at the end of it, she gets to wear a backpack, as a special consideration because she is a Dullahan. And it's stories like that, and they're about these students who are monster girls, and they're unique, but they have these really mundane struggles that you wouldn't think about in other monster girl animes, because usually it's just about the fact that they're monster girls. But in this case, it's a show about what happens when you try to integrate monster girls who are physically very different from humans into your culture, which is oriented to people who are physically human. It's like what I always say. What's one of the things that irritates me the most about going out to eat is that restaurants always set your table with your utensils on the right side of the plate, and I am left-handed.
Yeah.
So if I sit on the inside edge, I automatically grab my friend's utensils because it's on the left side. And
or to get even more nitpicky here, like how if you go to a supposedly Japanese restaurant and they have Chinese chopsticks.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, by the way, Chinese and Japanese chopsticks are very, very different.
They are different for a reason.
For a reason.
It's not us being cultural nitpicky. It's these chopsticks are different because of the way the food is eaten.
Yes, the type of food. Yeah, the way the food's eaten, the type of food that's eaten.
And so I always joke about, when I accidentally pick up my friend's utensils. Oh, I'm sorry, that's yours. And I always joke, I'm just a left-handed guy in a right-handed world. And it's a joke and everything. I don't get offended by that because I'm not from Tumblr. But that's the kind of thing I'm talking about with interviews with monster girls. It's these very mundane problems that these monster girls have because they live in a world where everything is built for humans, and that's not bad because they are humanoid. But they're just very small things, like a Dullahan needs to carry its head, but so many things we have in this world expect you to have 2 arms. So in those instances, when she is walking around with her head, she is essentially, technically, an amputee because she is incapable of using that one arm. So she essentially only has one arm. And so many of her stories are stories of struggles that people who are missing an arm would have, because many of the activities she has to do, she has to be holding her head. She can't just set her head down and then, walk away from it, because it's very hard to do things that way. So it's a very interesting show about mundane struggles with very exceptional, fantastic girls.
Yeah, and
overseen by a very responsible, non-perverted, totally normal adult teacher.
Yeah, and with Monster Musume, and I'm just going back to it because the best guy ever. He did an entire episode about it and really hit hard with it. It does do that, but does it very lightly, and more often than not, it's more of in a comedic way, like with Syria the Centaur. It's like, oh, she her gigantic horse butt broke a door, and it's like, oh, it's obvious this store is not accommodating to her, or this one character has to use a wheelchair and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, it does show where hindrances and accommodations need to be made, but it's very, very low key. The main focus of, I'd say, the biggest difference between these two shows and what shows like Interview with Monster Girl is I guess the more classier one, is that Interview with a Monster Girl focuses on those accommodations and just the general daily life, whereas Monster Musume focuses on the fun parts, the eye candy, the ecchi, the fan service stuff. And
they are not so different, those two shows. It's just that one,
it's the focus. It's the focus of
the
show.
and one is also self-aware, realizes that it is a pile of garbage and doesn't care, and the people who watch it know that it's a pile of garbage and don't care, and that's my segue back.
It's like you're not gonna find a guy, you're not gonna find anybody who says that fucking Monster Musume is the fucking foie gras of anime. I was about to say Citizen Kane, but no, I don't want to say. A lot of people say this is the Citizen Kane or this isn't. It's like, let's just stop having Citizen Kane be a benchmark, please, for everything.
No one who watched and enjoyed Monster Musume is going to try and tell you that it is a shiny piece of high art, because nobody is delusional.
Yeah.
Nobody is that delusional. And I think that's the difference between a serious art critic and the guy who says holy shit to cakes, like we talked about last week.
Or actually I think it was the week before.
Or one of our previous episodes, there's an episode we did called Holy Shit, Two Cakes. It was either the last one or the one before. I think that's what separates those people. Because and we've said that, like, have I talked about the documentary Who the Fuck is Jackson Pollock?
No, you
on this
haven't.
show. I can't remember. Okay, have you seen that documentary?
No, I have not.
Okay, it is a phenomenal. You're familiar with Jackson Pollock, though, correct?
Yes.
The painter.
Yes.
Who the Fuck is Jackson Pollock is a documentary that I put right up with the documentary Jesus Camp in being a film everyone should see, not because it's particularly good, but because it is. I think it's a good film, but that my opinion is not important. It's a film that talks about and delves into something I think everyone should know about. And
really quick, if you don't know who Jackson Pollock is, he's the artist who painted the paintings where it looked like somebody who suffers from seizures just grabbed a bunch of paintbrushes and just like went to town.
He pioneered the concept of flicking paint with the paintbrush.
Flicking paint. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry for the grossly offensive comparison, but I'm me, and this is this show.
But you're not wrong, though.
Yes.
But yeah. Anyways, Who the Fuck is Jackson Pollock is a film about a woman a somewhat uneducated woman from the deep south who is a stereotypical. I don't want to be mean to her because she's the main character of the film and she's not actually a bad person. It's just that she's a stupid American.
She's from the South. Yeah.
Yeah. And she, through some strange means, acquires a painting that she likes and decides to get and hang in her room. And one of her friends says to her, "Hey, I think this might be a genuine Jackson Pollock painting. You should get it appraised." And of course, the joke of the movie is she turns to her friend and says, "Who the fuck is Jackson Pollock?" Because she's an uneducated American from the deep south, So she goes to get it appraised, and she is put through the fucking ringer by art critics and art historians. And no one wants to tell her that it's a Jackson Pollock, despite over time insurmountable, overwhelming evidence that it probably is a genuine Pollock painting. No one wants to tell her that. And she takes to art critics and they go, "Oh, this can't be a Pollock because he wouldn't, in order to do this, you would have to hold the brush in a very specific way between these fingers. And Pollock wouldn't do that. That wasn't part of his technique." And then she take it to someone else who is just like a forensic scientist to be like, "Yeah, it's probably a Pollock. Like, I'm looking at it, and it's got this and this, and this really looks like, a Jackson Pollock painting." And then she take it to an art critic like, "Oh no, Jackson Pollock would never use these two colors next to each other. What a ridiculous notion." As it goes on, it's sort of, you find out the implication that these highbrow art critics don't want to admit that some stupid trucker lady from the South, the deep South of America, acquired a painting from one of the most celebrated painters of the 20th century. Don't want to admit that she might be part of the world of art collecting, because the world of art collecting is for people who are intelligent and smart and know who Jackson Pollock is, not like you. And it's a great film, but I think that it ties into what we're talking about, where the world of criticism of art, regardless of the kind of art that it is a hostile, exclusionary culture.
And I think you could say that also with anime, gaming, movies, TV shows.
Oh well, God! Look at Polygon, and I know we knock at Polygon. I know we knock at Polygon all the time, but the thing I always go back to is there's this great video, and I'll find it and link it in the main topic section of our show notes. But there's this great video that somebody cut together of two different reviews of the same game, and it was I can't remember the name of the game, but it was one of those VR games that you played with the Oculus Rift, where it was just a shooting range and you had to put the gun together and load it and fire it at the range.
I think I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
It was a really hyper realistic VR shooting range game.
Yeah, very good, very very good one actually.
And one review was just a YouTuber whose name I've forgotten, who was having a grand old time going, "Oh, so, this fits in here, and oh, this is pretty realistic. That's kind of fun. I love the Oculus Rift." And then the other review that it would cut to was the review from Polygon, where the guy was just talking about violence in video games and why do we always fixate on guns, and then at one point spins off for 10 minutes to talk about his creepy uncle who had a gun, and that's why he's afraid of guns now.
Or another good example, also with Polygon, is everybody else reviewing Dragon's Crown, and then you had Polygon, who just hyper-focused on the sorcerer's tits, and just went off and on and on and on and on about the sorcerer's tits. Meanwhile, everybody else is actually talking about the fucking game.
Yeah, and I found the video. The video is titled "Polygon Can't Understand Games Are Fun," um, and it's not that I want to knock to Polygon here. I don't I we've knocked on Polygon enough, and everyone knows my problem with them. But that's not really the point here. My problem with this video, and with the way they did this review, is that it is a prime example of critics not critiquing the game or missing the point entirely. And that's fine. You can miss the point of something. Because, like you were talking about earlier with Monster Musume, you know, where someone did a whole video about how it's kind of analogous to disabilities, and that's probably not what the creator had intended. That's just one way you can look at it. You know, you can miss the point, and that's fine. But you have to also be aware of what the point actually is before you properly critique something, or properly decide, if you're not a critic like me, decide whether or not you're going to finish watching it and whether or not you like it.
Yeah, it's like with me and Gate. It's like I'm totally aware that Gate is right-wing Japanese propaganda. I understand that, but it's still fun as hell. I'm still going to enjoy it. Because it's literally like tanks blowing up dragons and big titty monster girls. You know. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Go ahead.
No, that's correct. And the thing that kills me the most about the world of anime criticism in particular, because anime criticism and video game criticism is that anime and video game criticism exists in a medium that hasn't existed for criticism before. You know, years ago, criticism for art was an article in a newspaper and or a television show like Siskel and Ebert, or Ebert and Roper, or eventually just Roper's show. And it's not that there's anything wrong with those shows. I watched them and I read the reviews on newspapers. But what was different about back then was when somebody wanted to respond to that criticism, there was a delay, right? If a reader of a newspaper had a problem with something a critic said in an article, they sent in a letter, and the next week that letter was printed in the newspaper. But by then everyone had already forgotten, you know, what the critic had said about the movie or whatever. And it didn't matter. You know, when actors or or directors wanted to respond to something that, you know, Roger Ebert said on his television show, they did so in an interview. And that interview could come out anywhere from 5 to 10 days later. But now, you know, in the world of video game, and this is true also for film as well, it's just that we don't see it as much because of the communities that we're in, and this isn't really something that happens on YouTube. But now in the world of anime and video game criticism, response is immediate.
Oh yeah,
and response is so
right in the YouTube comments or on
response
Twitter.
is so immediate that the day, literally 2 hours after Polygon and a bunch of other sites had ripped apart Persona 5 for the quality of the translation, they had criticized the translation and said the dialogue was poorly written and made no sense. I didn't agree particularly, but it
was bullshit. You know, they can go fuck themselves on that.
That was their thing, whatever they wanted to say. But you know, the day just 2 hours after they said that, there were videos of gamers, YouTubers, game critics on YouTube, small time game critics on YouTube, making videos in response to that. Some agreeing, some disagreeing, but the response was instantaneous. And the response back was instantaneous. And the response back in many cases was, I'm the professional game reviewer, and I have experience, you know, doing Japanese to English translation. What the fuck do you know? And that's what I'm talking about that exclusionary culture, is that in reality, everyone is a critic, not because everyone is a critic. everyone is a critic because everyone can be a critic.
Yeah, everyone has an opinion. The only difference between before and now is that everybody has the tools to instantly broadcast that opinion.
Yeah, and
Instantly.
that's not to say that the opinions of people who did go to school in cinematography, and spent 7 years of their life learning the trade craft and learning the, what kind of camera angles are used and all that. It's not to say that their opinions aren't valid. They are. Those people went to school for 7 years to have educated opinions about art, and that's fine. And they can do that, and I will read what they say, and that's okay. There's no problem with that. The problem is when we forget that anyone else can have those same opinions. They may not be educated, but the people who buy movies, like by a vast majority, aren't educated in cinematography.
Oh no.
They just watch movies, and it's fine to have a highbrow artistic discussion of what makes a movie good. That's great because there is value in art and there is art in film, but that's not the only thing that films are for. American Pie is not a good movie. It's not a movie with good artistic qualities or any amount of artistic integrity. But you know what that movie was good for? Making fuckloads of money. So much money that they made more of them. And I think that for itself speaks to something.
You know what it also was good for? It was also really good for making a night of getting blasted ass drunk a little bit more entertaining. And I think that's how most people saw American Pie was, hey, let's just get fucking wasted and watch this because it's funny as hell. Let's just and that's how most of this stuff is. It's just you're not going into Monster Musume or Precure or American Pie or even Family Guy or SpongeBob going in to have a epiphany or experience. It's you're going in just to be like, I'm bored, I'm drunk, or I need to pass the time, and this is something that is enjoyable, so I'm gonna fucking watch it. I'm going to consume it.
And I want to be clear that I don't want that level of critics to go away. There's nothing wrong with them being there. And I'll be real, sometimes I get dissective of a show in the same way because I'm passionate about it and I feel like there's, good artistic qualities to something. I've done that multiple times with things like My Little Pony, where I've gone into symbolism and talked about, talked about parody and reference and symbolism, all those things in My Little Pony because I was passionate about it and I thought that they did a really good job, at that time, with some of the material that they were doing that was not intended to be caught by kids, but very clearly intended to be caught by an older audience. And I thought that was cool, and I was passionate about that. There's nothing wrong with getting highbrow about your entertainment. There is nothing wrong with that. We do that. Everyone wants to do that, and that's fine. The problem is when you forget what fun is. So that, like I was saying, it's not that I want the world of art criticism to go away, and it's not like I want people to stop trying to look deeper, into shows that are otherwise fairly simple. It's that what I want is for the world of criticism to be less exclusionary. And art criticism, film criticism is lost cause. That's not going to happen. It's ingrained.
Yeah.
But the world of video game journalism and the world of anime YouTuber, that world of reviewers and critics, we're still young and we have all the time in the world to wake up and realize that eventually we're going to become like the world of art criticism. Is that what we really want? It's not what I want. The
Oh,
world of art
and
criticism is garbage. The
yeah, it
world
is.
of music criticism is horrible.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. The only music critic I listen to is the Needle Drop. Like, he's the only guy I listen to now because he seems to actually still enjoy music.
Yeah.
I don't know if you listen to him or watch his stuff, but he's the only guy I listen to anymore because it seems like he's the only one who still enjoys listening to music. Um, well, I want to interject in here, and it may seem fruitless to say it now, especially since our podcast is at this point very small, and we're still very early on. But maybe uh, something I think that should happen is I think there needs to be a schism in sort of the entire critique review world where you have reviewers and then you have critics who do analysis. Because I've noticed is that there seems to be a lot of well, especially with me, because I want to do reviews. I'd love to do reviews, not only of video games but of like tech products and stuff. Because I do buy a lot of shit, and I use and I break a lot of shit, and I like to talk about my experiences with them. But I'm afraid to because I feel like I'm not verbose or smart enough to get into that field. And the thing I realize is that really there's like two separate groups in this review world. There's the reviewers and then the analysis. And yeah, I think there needs to be a split because there's people who are able to, like people like Joseph Anderson or Super Bunny Hop who can riff and write in scripts and talk about a single video game for 1 to 2 to 3 hours, breaking down all these different things that make a game good or bad or just okay. And then I think there's people like me who just are like, okay, it feels good. This feels good. That feels good. No, that's kind of shit. Okay, that was okay, but it was. And then I just be like, yeah, this is worth your time, or no, just don't fuck with this shit.
Because here's my favorite kind of review is not a review at all. For video games, at least, my favorite kind of video game review is the one where you go looking for information on your game, and then you stumble across a video of someone who has already put 80 hours to the game, but the game's only been out for like 4 days. And it's just them talking about like all this stupid high level stuff that you can do to break the game. I think that's the best review of a game because that what that immediately tells you is two things. First, it was interesting enough for someone to put that many hours into it, and second, it was interesting enough that somebody sat down and took the time to break down the math of the mechanics of the game. A great example of this is that YouTube channel Dangerously Funny. I linked them a while back.
Yeah.
I first found him when I was going to look for videos of Stardew Valley because I wanted to see what Stardew Valley was and I wanted to see if people liked it because I liked Harvest Moon and I didn't know if I liked Stardew Valley and I didn't want to pirate it, to try it out before buying because I don't like doing that with indie games. It's just a personal thing. So I went looking for videos of the game just to see what people were saying about it. And one of the first videos I stumbled across was his, and his video was literally, my character is 70 years old and I'm going to attempt to do a harvest that is worth $6 million. And that was all I needed to know. That was all I needed to know about the game. Somebody played this game to their character being 70 years old. I'm probably going to like it. And now that's not to say that will always be an endorsement of a game, but I think that speaks volumes in just a few short seconds compared to what critics will often take 5 to 10 minutes of verbose word vomit to say.
Yeah. Okay. With that in mind, I think you could actually make 3 different classes. I'm going to call them classes. Three different classes of reviewers. There's there's the kind which is what I want to be like, where I just pick up something and I fuck with it for a while, and then I say what I think of it. That's the kind of reviewer I want to be, because I think that's how a lot of people are. Is that they want to see, if I pick this thing up, am I still gonna be fucking with it and having fun? 1 to 2 to 3 hours later, and then you have the fans, the people who are invested in something, just doing things with it, and and just really getting the most out of something. And then you have the verbose word vomit people, which, you know, no disrespect, but they serve a valuable purpose as well. And I uh, I think that's how you can do it. It's just like, there are three different type of reviewers. I think, and I think I just described them. I don't know. What do you think? Are you there, dude?
I am here, and I think that the point I really want to make right now, especially with the title, or the point I really want to come across with us talking about this is, one, garbage is good.
Yeah,
If there is nothing wrong with liking garbage, it's okay. You can watch terrible shows that you know are terrible, and if you have fun, that's the only validation you need. As long as you're not watching something illegal, like child porn.
Yeah. If you still get a kick out of World of Warcraft, good on you. If you like surfing and CS:GO, cool.
Or God, if you still play Team Fortress 2, the worst game ever created.
I played Team Fortress 2 a couple days ago for like 2 hours.
I don't have it installed anymore. I haven't played in a while, actually.
Well, that was like the first time I played in like 2 years. I didn't know how to taunt. I forgot how to taunt.
But the gist of it is, you don't need a critic to tell you to enjoy something. A critic exists. Yeah. A critic exists to tell you that you might enjoy something, or you might not enjoy something.
Yeah,
critics don't dictate the fun that you have with something.
Yeah, a critic is an advisor, not a decision maker. I think if you need like a quick quote, that's what a critic is that they guide you, but ultimately the decision is on you on whether or not you're going to enjoy something. And there is absolutely, because there's a lot of people I follow on Tumblr who are like, if you watch this or you enjoy this, you're garbage and I probably won't like you. And I'm just like, the reality is, fuck those people. If you enjoy, hell, okay, here's a good example. MatPat, the guy who does game theory. I think he's garbage. I think a lot of his theories are reaching and overblown, and just he's and all this. But you know what? If you enjoy MatPat and you are excited whenever a new episode of Game Theory comes out, cool, good on you. I'm not gonna judge you. You're not the person I'm judging. I'm judging MatPat, and even if I was judgy, even if I thought I was superior to you because I don't like game theory, fuck me. Why does my fucking opinion matter to you? If you enjoy MatPat, enjoy fucking MatPat. My opinion matters not an ounce to you. Should not matter an ounce to you. Just like Ben Bullshit said, if it's not illegal, then have fun, then enjoy it. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah, and that's why, I occasionally do reviews. I've done reviews on Steam, for curator stuff and things like that, and I occasionally write stuff in for video games there. Because and people have noticed this, especially when I'm talking about stuff on Tumblr. People notice, you never ever say something negative about a video game or something, or an anime. You never like do reviews of things you don't like. I'm like, yeah, it's because I don't like them, so I haven't watched them.
Yeah,
And,
well, and I
and
think that
I'm not a paid critic. I don't get paid to watch things that I don't like so I can write reviews about how they're terrible. That's not my job. My job is renting cars, and I hate it. When I come home, I don't want to watch movies I don't like and then talk about how I don't like them on Tumblr. That's boring. I hate that.
you just made a very good point. I think because we in Bullshit and I have been talking, and it's more been on my end because and Bullshit's got his own thing he's doing, but I've been wanting to make additional content for the FAPCast YouTube channel, and one of those things is reviews. And I think I'm not going to review stuff that I don't like. I think what I'm going to do is justify why I like the things I do.
Yeah, I've always been more myself if I were if whenever I want to do videos, or I don't really do videos about games, but like posts about them or anything. I'm less about critiquing games than I am about promoting games I like.
Yeah.
Well, and this goes for anime and films as well. I'm less about, talking about the finer points of the other people are going to do that. You don't need me to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like I have ideas for things I want to do on the show, and it's always coming from, and it's going to be coming from the point of view of, I enjoy this thing. Here, let me tell you why I enjoy this thing. Because I think that comes out to be more positive, both on my end, because it means I get to enjoy something, I get to create something from something I like, and also it comes off as less cynical and more genuine to anybody watching. Because I think ultimately that's what kind of turned me off to people like Digibro and Mother's Basement, was just the overwhelming amount of cynicism. And there are very few people who can be cynical but also be compelling and entertaining. And really the only two people I can think of who pull that off is Yahtzee and Super Bunny Hop. I think they're the only two people who have so far done that very well. Got it. Now it's like I'm reviewing the reviewers. What the fuck? Sorry. I don't know. You go ahead. I kind of fucked off right there at the end.
Well, what we just listened to is the story of how I learned to love terrible, horrible atrocities of art. And with that,
yes, enjoy what you enjoy.
enjoy what you enjoy. We move on to our cool shit segment, which is, like I was saying earlier, that whole thing about not critiquing things, but instead of promoting things that we enjoy. That's exactly what this is.
Yes,
every week.
Yeah, this is a perfect example. Every week we give you stuff we genuinely enjoy.
And quite often it's garbage.
Yes, it's total trash.
My first piece of cool shit here. You only have one. Are you going to add another one, or you just want to do one this week?
No, I'm going to add another one. Just hang on. Let me not panic here.
Okay, yeah, sure. But while I'm talking about my first one, then you have time to do that. My first piece of cool shit here is a video called Granny Potty Mouth's Hater Cake Baked with Love. This comes from the YouTube channel Granny Potty Mouth, which if you guys have not seen, is a fantastic YouTube channel. It's just this old white lady who does a vlog and a cooking show, and she swears a lot, and she's very funny. And this video is of her baking a cake for all of her haters, and it's insanely funny. It just I can't get over this video and how funny it is, and how much I love this channel. I've actually used recipes from this channel because she has a series called Fast as Fuck, which is literally just here's a really simple recipe for something that many people might think is complicated, but you can do it fast as fuck, and here's how you do it. And I've actually used some of her recipes because they're very helpful for when you don't have a lot of time. But on top of that, it's a genuinely funny channel that is run by a genuinely funny woman. So that's my first piece of cool shit.
All right. Hang on. I'm typing in a link. Actually, the second cool thing you're gonna fucking love. I just need to pull out the playlist. Okay, but my first cool thing is called. It's a sort of like. It just was put out today, August 16th. It was put out by Super Eye Patch Wolf. Really, going back to our topic, a really good anime and that reviewer slash analysis kind of person, analyzer. Yeah, that's the name of it, analyzer. Uh, but he put out sort of like a mini history slash documentary about The Simpsons and about why nobody really fucking likes The Simpsons anymore. At least not the new ones. And he kind of he in the first minute he puts it very well. He's like, there are these two shows. One came out, in the very early 90s and is beloved by millions of people. And then there's this other show which is just kind of mediocre and kind of just there. And they both share the same name, and they're both called The Simpsons. And he just goes into really why, because I've said, I don't enjoy The Simpsons, and I've actually been able to figure out, where I didn't enjoy The Simpsons, and it just so happens where I stopped enjoying The Simpsons was where millions of other fans stopped enjoying The Simpsons, and in this mini doc he made, he really points out and boils down not only where The Simpsons started to fall, but also why we can't get back into it. What was lost? Who left the show, and what happened? With in the writing style between before this event and after this event. And I think if you enjoyed The Simpsons, this is a really good watch. But also, if you if you never experienced the epitome of Simpsons mania, I highly suggest you watch this, because it will tell you why this mediocre sitcom that's on now was so beloved by so many millions of people back in its heyday. And yeah, on to you, dude.
All right, my next piece of cool shit is it's an album on Bandcamp, but it requires a little bit of a backstory here. One of my favorite sort of independent rock bands of all time is a small band from San Diego, California, called Steam Powered Giraffe. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I have no idea who the fuck they are.
Steam Powered Giraffe is a steampunk themed robot band. It's just these people who put on this makeup to make themselves look like animatronic robots, and they have a band and they sing and dance, and all of their concerts are like songs segmented with funny little skits that are partially improv'd. And their whole backstory is that they're robots that were created by this guy who made robots to be a singing band. And they're a phenomenally bizarre band. I love them to death. They're very good. And by far one of my favorite robots on their lineup was a robot named Hatchworth, who was their bassist. And the person who was Hatchworth was originally actually one of their backing drummers, who got promoted to a robot lineup member when one of their founding members actually quit the band to pursue a career in photography. And the guy's name is Samuel Luke, and he was Hatchworth in this band. Very, very excellent singing voice, really good bassist, just all around one of my favorite members of the band. He actually departed from Steam Powered Giraffe last year, which a lot of us were very sad about. It wasn't on bad terms or anything. He left to pursue a solo career, and was replaced by as someone who I can't remember their name, but it's a very large, fat black man, and he's been just a great replacement for Hatchworth. He has a really excellent, rich baritone voice. Love him to death. But anyways, he left the band and then sort of went internet dark for a while. Didn't really do very much. Produced a few covers on YouTube, and that was it. And I found out that he actually put out an album. And he put out an album at the beginning of this year, January 29th, 2017, under the artist name Sam Hears. And his album is called It Says It's Dead. And it is a really interesting, sort of grungy, alternative, like stoner rock kind of.
Yeah, I'm getting I've been listening to a couple tracks, and they give like a really sort of 90s grunge vibe.
Yeah. And so I was immediately interested because this. I mean, I loved him when he was in Steam Powered Draft, and I was really interested in seeing what he would come up with, while he was on a solo career. He finally made a release, and I'm actually I'm really happy with it. I think it's great. And I'm just gonna link it here as something I recommend for those of you who like grunge and stoner rock, maybe a little bit of alt rock. You might like this, and anyone who is a fan of Steam Powered Draft, I know there are some among our followers and listeners because there's a lot of people who have messaged at me on various platforms about them whenever I post them. If any of you are fans of Steam Powered Draft, I can't recommend this enough because a lot of people really were very sad when Sam Luke left the band. Well, he's back, and he's a one-man band now. Plays guitar, bass, and drums, and sings. So, check it out.
So really quick, I just sent you a direct message of a GIF.
Yes, you did.
From Gate, and this is part of the reason why I love Gate so much, because she's completely aware of what she is, and that's why I fucking love this character's part. Rory from Gate is part of the reason why I love Gate so much. Is because she's totally aware of what she is and the trope she is. All right, on to my cool thing, my second and final cool thing. It's actually a playlist from a YouTuber called Nerd Slayer, and it's a series they do called Death of a Game, and it really focuses. Well, actually, I think let me look through his. Okay, except for like one episode, it focuses entirely on MMOs and why they failed. And the highlight episodes I'll recommend that people watch are Hellgate London, Cities of Heroes, and Star Wars Galaxy, and APB, his latest one. And he goes back and he looks at the development, the launch, and then the downfall of these MMOs. It's like where did shit go wrong? What happens? And a great service he does is towards the end is he will let you know if it's possible to still play these games like on independent fan driven servers, which on some of these games you totally can. Like I think with Hellgate there's still a fan run server, as well as with Cities of Heroes there's still a fan server you can go and play on.
Not for City of Heroes, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Not actually. I think it was
my knowledge.
I think it was Warhammer Online has a fan server, and but yeah, I just really like the series because it's like after World of Warcraft came out, there's just a vomit of fucking MMOs, and a lot of them were and most of them were shit, but there was a few that were actually very good, and this does a really good job of explaining, why these games failed, and believe it or not, it really wasn't WoW's fault. It was not because of WoW. It was mostly just because of like management and and just these companies just publishers and companies just wanting to be another WoW, and it's like, no, these are great games, but these are not the next WoW, and they were just like, okay, well, fuck it then, and they just killed them.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of these games just sort of shook out, which is very unfortunate. But yeah, mostly the highlights I pointed out: Hellgate London, Cities of Heroes, Star Wars Galaxies, and APB were games that I actually played. That's so I have a bit
Oh
of a
yeah, no,
bias.
I'm still very disappointed about Hellgate London.
Oh god, Hellgate London had so much potential.
The thing was, the original iteration of that game wasn't even MMO. It was literally just a Diablo clone,
Yeah, yeah.
and it was excellent. And then it became an MMO, and it was fine, but it's gone, and you can't, because it became an MMO. You can't single play it anymore. You have to use fan patches to do that, which
Yeah.
is such an asinine decision. Like I don't know what they were thinking.
Yeah, but this is a really great series, especially if you used to play these games and you were never aware of the drama behind them. This helps sort of, I guess explain what happened. So I guess if that was something you really cared about, you can really sort of put that to rest. I mean, in some, a couple episodes, you could be like, yeah, I already knew this shit, and this just sort of confirms it, especially with me in Star Wars Galaxy, because that's Wars Galaxy. That's a fucking story and a half right there. Yeah, yeah, it's just and a part of the reason I put this playlist in there is because I'm kind of wondering if a certain game is going to be put on there. It starts with a W and ends with an R. And I'm kind of wondering if that game will ever get an episode on this. So I just figured I'd throw that out there now. And yeah, I'm honestly surprised that WildStar still is up, but I guess it is. So
Yep. It's because it has dedicated fan base that buys all the shit they put out, and their publisher hasn't gone full retard yet.
which honestly,
Which is surprising considering who their publisher is.
Well, and to their credit, I think in a world where you have where I think that MMOs in general are on the downswing, especially since like mobile gaming is such a thing now. Because that's what everybody said about MMOs, is that MMOs are either they're either like super super hardcore or they're super super casual. And I think with the rise of MMO with like mobile gaming, that kind of killed the whole casual side of it. Because of course everybody's playing on mobile phones and tablets. That now like MMOs are focusing on the more hardcore crowd, and I think as much as people want to say WildStar is a failure, I think WildStar is like in a perfect position right now because it's got a dedicated fan base that is putting money into it. I think that's a perfect spot for an MMO to be in.
That's where Overwatch is.
Yeah, that's where Overwatch is.
That's exactly where Overwatch fucking belongs. Making money.
Yeah, and that's still where World of Warcraft is, and
yeah,
and
World of Warcraft. You were talking about dedicated fan bases. The role playing crowd in World of Warcraft is most likely the thing that's keeping that game alive, because it's not the raiding community. Raiding community in World of Warcraft, it's still there and it's still great, but it's a shadow of its former self.
Oh yeah,
there are not that many groups of. But you want to talk about the role playing community there? It's still big. Yeah, it's still really big.
I'm sure with WildStar, it's like WildStar is never managed to live up to the hype. Well, it did for a brief while, but then it kind of settled down. But it's got its mega server and it's got its dedicated fan base. There's one half of the show right here is in that fan base. And they're pumping money into it, and I think that's the best spot for an MMO to be in. You know, because it's not a WoW world; it's just a post MMO world we're living in right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because even WoW is on the downswing, but as long as there's enough people to maintain the servers, there's no reason to shut that shit down. Because because going back to these MMOs and this playlist that he's covered already, these were all very good games. The reason they were killed was because they could not catch up to WoW. And I think if these games came out now, obviously with the graphical and system updates to make them look good, I think they would be doing just fine.
Yeah, I think a lot more now publishers are starting to realize that you don't need to make World of Warcraft levels of money. No, you just need to make enough money to make profit and enough profit to satisfy your shareholders.
Yeah, and that's exactly what World of Warcraft is doing now. That's what WildStar is doing now. That's what War Thunder and World of Tanks and
look at getting out of online and massively multiplayer online games. Look at things like Senua's Sacrifice.
Look at look at TF2. TF2 still gets regular updates. And it does so because there's a dedicated fan base that's buying fucking keys for those crates. Same with Overwatch. I mean, everybody had to pay at least $40 to play Overwatch, but Overwatch is still going strong because people are buying loot crates or loot boxes. I mean. We need to do it. I'm not gonna get into it now, obviously, but we need to talk about in a future episode. We need to talk about microtransactions. I think, because there's quite a few games where people are like, why is this game still around? Why are they still updating it? Nobody fucking plays this, and I can tell you right now exactly fucking why, and it's microtransactions.
Yeah, it's microtransactions.
Yeah,
and look at even the games that don't have them anymore, like Payday. Payday doesn't have them anymore.
Yeah,
people still play it.
Oh yeah, people. Yeah, I mean, hang on. Let me go check their profile on Steam really quick. Fuck, where the fuck are you, Saley? Saley, where? Oh, there he is. Or there she is. Saley, let me look at your profile. Oh, no, Saley hasn't been playing Payday. She was the reason I got into Payday. She hasn't been playing it in a while. She's been playing BlazBlue. Yeah, it was like you, BH Hammy, and Saley were the reasons I got into Payday.
Saley recently went through. I was just talking to him the other day. Went through the Steam summer sale. Bought a lot of trash.
Yeah.
A lot of trash.
God. Oh my god! I buy so much. If there was like a dumpster that just had the Steam logo on it, I'd buy it. If it was on the summer sale, that's essentially what the summer sale is. Is just I buy a dumpster of shit.
I forgot to mention this in our segment when we were talking about garbage, but I bought the Hyperdimension Neptunia collection with all of the Neptunia games. The bundle.
I played that. It's so fucking bad.
That game is terrible. I love it. The battle system is so much fun.
Oh god, okay. You think you're bad. You think you're so fucking bad, dude. You wanna know how bad I am?
How bad are you?
I own all of the including like the Sega and Nier or Noir shit. I own every single game on Steam and the PlayStation Network.
Oh my god.
And you want to know where I played all of them?
Where?
PS Vita. I have not touched them on Steam yet. I
Oh
own them.
my god.
Oh god, you want to talk about That's why I will never be an analyzer of anything. Is because of that. I just feel like I admitted I was gay to my boss again. That was okay. Yeah. That whole situation right there was bad. Not the boss thing. I'm talking about hyperdimension. Hyperdimension is just fucking trash. And I'm not proud. I'm not proud of that.
I actually can't recommend that series enough to anybody who likes really garbage tier RPGs that have complex battle systems and crafting systems. Like, if you like Atelier, guys, you will like Neptunia.
Oh god, yeah, totally. Like, if you see it, because usually the way it's put on sale is you get Hyperdimension, Neptunia 1, 2, and 3. You get all three of them for like either $15 or $20, and if you can get at that deal, fucking grab it because it's fucking garbage, but it's like Lay's potato chip kind of garbage. You'll enjoy it.
Well, like I said, it's like the Atelier series. It has a extremely complex battle system and crafting system, and then everything else about that game is terrible.
yeah.
Especially the voice acting.
Yeah. Okay. Really quick, because God, this show's all over the place. Okay. One game I've really been getting into. I haven't put any money into it yet, but one game I've like fallen like head over heels into is Fate Grand Order, and it's on, and it was just released last month. In America, it's a Japanese game. It's been out for 2 years in Japan, but it just released last month here in the States on Android and iOS. And it's a mediocre like card battling system. The only reasons I still play it is because of the crafting system and the animations and the artwork, because it is fucking spectacular. There is nothing else to this game. Every single cutscene, when I play it on my iPhone, every single cutscene I hit skip because I don't give a shit about the story. I'm just here for the artwork and the gameplay. And bullshit, I highly recommend, because you got an Android, you actually got a phone that can play games now. I highly recommend you go check out Fate Grand Order.
Yes.
I've got like 10 hours into it and I have not spent a fucking penny.
Oh no, all of the Fate games are actually really fun.
They're a lot of fun, but they're also just fucking garbage. Their garbage tier games are a shitload of fun, and there's a ton of fan art on them, for them on like Tumblr and Twitter, and it, that's another example. It's just like I'm just like it's fucking Pringles to me. Pringles is like garbage tier food, but I fucking love it, and keep feeding me that shit. I love it.
Just keep
keep it shoving.
Have a tube directly into my mouth.
Yeah. You remember when Aaron Hansen actually made content besides Game Grumps? Remember Sequelitis? Remember that comparison he made between garbage games and good games, where he was just like, you can eat the really, really good dessert, and even though you get a little bit of it, you enjoy it and you reminisce about how awesome it was. Or you could just shovel an entire bag of Lay's potato chips into your fucking mouth and get some short-term enjoyment. Yeah, I'm totally the Lay's guy. Shovel that fucking garbage in my mouth. I'm only on this planet for about, if I'm lucky, a century. So just give me all the garbage.
So. Oh, that's what I should do after we record. I should go to Walmart, buy some snacks.
God. Oh god, you want to talk about garbage? Yeah, I know we don't get political, but just one really. I'm not gonna get political here. It's just more pointing out fucking stupidity. Uh, uh, for better or worse, the guy in the White House, the fucking Cheeto, made a tweet on Twitter talking about how horrible and damaging Amazon is to the American economy, especially to the local economy. And I just said it's like, excuse me, President Cheeto, have you ever been to a Walmart in a small town? You know, you want to talk about destroying an economy, just look at any Walmart in a small town. That's what fucking kills an economy. It's fucking Walmart. I don't know where he got off on trying to put the blame on Amazon. So sorry, that was the
That was it. That's the political statement for the day. Walmart is terrible, and that's where I'm going after we record to buy a bunch of garbage food.
Yeah, Walmart's terrible, and you know what? They're the only place that let trucks park in their parking lot. So guess where I shop? Trust me, dude. If Target let trucks park in their parking lot, that's where I'd go.
Yeah, dude. If I had a Target closer to my house, that's where I would go.
Actually, what's funny
The only
is
other place I have around here is a Lucky's, which is terrible, and a Smart and Final, which is overpriced.
It's funny because when I'm out on the road, I shop. When I'm on the road in a truck, I shop exclusively at Walmart because Walmart is trucker friendly. When I'm back home in Sioux Falls, I never ever step foot in a Walmart. I shop local. And well, that's what really matters because I live in Sioux Falls and I care about Sioux Falls. So
Look, here's the thing. I once, when I was having a severe episode of depression, decided I wanted McDonald's at 4 a.m. And the only McDonald's near my house at that time that was open at 4 a.m. was the one inside the Walmart, very close to where I live. I went to it. And I then did not set foot in a McDonald's or a Walmart for several months afterwards because it was such a horrifying experience going to a Walmart McDonald's at 4 a.m. that I just never want to repeat it.
Oh god, if you want experience, just go to a Walmart between the hours of midnight to 5 a.m. That the shoppers at that time are experiencing that's you know how like Einstein said that every general and every politician needs to walk through a battlefield to truly appreciate the horrors of war. I feel that any participant in the capitalist society needs to go to a Walmart between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. to truly appreciate the horrors of capitalism. Can we end it there? That's the best you're gonna get out of me right now. Bye.
And we're out.